On July 14, 2018, two young lovers drove into the New Mexico desert for what should have been a simple weekend getaway. They were in their mid-twenties, planning their wedding, dreaming of building a life. And then they vanished. No tire tracks. No gear. No signal from their phones. The sand erased their presence like they had never existed at all. For 5 long years, the families waited, begging for answers that never came. Then in 2023, hikers found a torn T-shirt hanging strangely from a rock. And beneath that same rock lay the sun-bleached remains of Daniel Cole. But his fiancée, Liana Brooks, was gone. Not a footprint, not a necklace, not a hair strand, nothing of hers was ever found. The desert had returned one half of a story, and swallowed the other half forever. This is their case. Daniel and Liana were the kind of couple everyone rooted for. They met in college, bonded over their love of hiking, photography, and exploring abandoned landmarks across the Southwest. At 26 years old, they were building a small but comfortable life in Albuquerque. Daniel worked as a part-time photographer, and weekends meant road trips to capture rugged landscapes. Liana worked at a geology supply store, spending her days sorting mineral samples and studying stone formations. They were the perfect match. He looked at the desert like a canvas. She saw it as a puzzle of ancient history. That July weekend, they decided to explore a lesser-known route. The Badger Creek Desert Passage, a brutal but beautiful stretch of wilderness 90 minutes outside Albuquerque. Most hikers avoided it. The heat could smother you. The terrain shifted unpredictably. Certain ravines were known to take lives. But for Daniel and Liana, it was an adventure. A chance to disconnect from the world before their wedding planning drowned them in stress. They packed 2 backpacks, 6 liters of water, dried fruit and energy bars, a first aid kit, camera equipment, Liana's mineral pouch, a small notebook Daniel kept for photo locations. In gas station footage, they looked excited. Daniel loaded the back of their SUV. Liana bought water, humming to herself as she walked out of the store. Their last recorded words were from the cashier. "You two have a beautiful day. Stay hydrated out there." Liana smiled. Daniel waved. And that was it. They drove toward the horizon, unaware the desert had already chosen them. That same day, a rancher spotted their SUV heading onto a narrow maintenance road leading deeper into the desert. He assumed they were tourists taking photos. But the temperature rose to 109 degrees Fahrenheit that afternoon, and the couple was already miles into an unmarked path. People underestimate the New Mexico desert. Every hill looks the same. Every trail bleeds into another. A 5-degree shift in direction can send you into an uncharted dead end. The couple texted Daniel's sister at 3:14 p.m. "Made it to the ridge. We'll camp here tonight and explore more tomorrow." That message came from an area that, investigators later confirmed, was safe. Stable ground. Clear trail. No cliffs. No boulder fields. Meaning whatever went wrong did not happen there. At sunset, a distant camper reported hearing what he described as voices echoing across the basin. Maybe a man and woman arguing? Or laughing? Hard to tell. That was the last time anyone heard anything resembling them. By morning, they were no longer on any trail. Their phones stopped pinging towers. Their SUV disappeared. And somewhere in those endless miles of dust and winding stone corridors, the couple vanished into the dark. When they missed work on Monday, families contacted authorities immediately. Daniel and Liana were responsible people. They didn't disappear. The search began at sunrise. 3.1 The SUV never found. This alone baffled investigators. In desert disappearance cases, the vehicle is usually the first thing found. It anchors the timeline. But the couple's SUV was gone. Never tracked. Never detected by drone sweeps. Never seen again. Some believed it was stolen, burned, hidden in a ravine, or used by someone else after encountering the couple. The absence of the SUV killed the first 48 hours of progress. 3.2 search teams hit dead ends. Search dogs found nothing. Helicopters scanned for reflective metal or fabric. Nothing. Volunteers swept miles of desert. Nothing. Not a shoe, not a piece of cloth, not a water bottle. It was as if the desert melted them into its sand. The case faded from national attention within months. No new leads. No forensic breakthroughs. Theories began to swirl online. Theory 1. They fell into a fissure. New Mexico has hidden cracks deep enough to swallow a car. But extensive geological mapping found no crevice wide enough near their last known coordinates. Theory 2. Illegal activity. Some trails skirt dangerous smuggling routes. But there was no evidence of conflict, camp activity, or confrontation. Theory 3. Murder-suicide. Police dismissed this early. Daniel and Liana had zero history suggesting this. Theory 4. They staged a disappearance. Their bank accounts and phones said otherwise. Theory 5. Involvement of a third party. This theory kept resurfacing, especially because the SUV vanished. But without evidence, it was just speculation. Families held vigils every July. Investigators revisited the file each year. But as time passed, the desert grew colder and crueler with its secrets. Until June 2023, when the desert finally gave something back. On June 19, 2023, a hiker named Miguel Ortega took an isolated path near a dried riverbed, far outside any official trail. He enjoyed exploring the parts nobody ever walks. While scaling a jagged rock slope, something unusual caught his eye. A piece of fabric, pale and sun-bleached, fluttering in the wind. Miguel climbed closer. The fabric wasn't tangled. It wasn't snagged. It was draped deliberately. A men's T-shirt, hung neatly over a sharp boulder like someone had placed it as a marker. When Miguel crouched to examine it, he noticed the horror beneath. Human bones, crushed under a massive rock. He stumbled back, breath trembling, and immediately called authorities. Authorities arrived by helicopter. The scene was bizarre. The boulder was enormous, over 700 pounds. Underneath were bones, partially scattered by scavengers. No backpack, no shoes, no personal items. The T-shirt was not naturally caught. Its placement appeared intentional. DNA confirmed the remains were Daniel Cole. But the real shock. There was no sign of Liana. Not near the rocks. Not up the ridge. Not down the ravine. Not anywhere within a 3-mile radius. The discovery answered one question. What happened to Daniel? But raised the terrifying question. What happened to Liana? The discovery site was 14 miles from where Daniel and Liana were last known to be. 14 miles. Through some of the harshest terrain in the region. Two possibilities emerged. Possibility 1, they got lost. This seems logical but fails to explain. The shirt placement. The missing SUV. The absence of Liana's trail. Possibility 2, they were moved. Someone could have intercepted them, harmed one or both, transported Daniel's body, staged the scene years later. The terrain experts agreed. The rock that crushed Daniel likely rolled naturally, but its exact position raised doubts. If Daniel died in an accident, why was his shirt removed? If someone staged the scene, why choose a spot so remote? And most haunting, why was Liana not there? Once Dan's remains were found, the case exploded online again. Theory A: heat and delirium. Heatstroke victims sometimes remove clothing while confused. Could Daniel have done this before being crushed by a falling rock? But investigators countered this. Heatstroke sufferers discard clothing, they do not hang it neatly over rocks. Theory B: Liana walked away and died elsewhere. Possible, but after 5 years, wildlife and erosion still leave traces: fabric, beads, bones. Nothing of hers has ever surfaced. Theory C: human involvement. This got the most attention. The missing SUV. The distance traveled. The placement of the shirt. Everything pointed to a scenario involving another person. But no suspects, no witnesses, no forensic evidence. Theory D: Liana harmed Daniel. This was pushed online but rejected by her family and investigators. She adored Daniel. Zero history of violence. No motive. No behavioral signs. And she herself vanished. People who kill don't disappear into thin air. Theory E: they stumbled onto someone they shouldn't have. Drug runners. Illegal border operations. Hidden encampments. These are real dangers in New Mexico's deeper wilderness. But if a criminal group encountered them, why leave Daniel's remains in such a theatrical manner? And what did they do with Liana? This became the most debated aspect of the case. The shirt wasn't simply hanging, it was positioned, almost like a signal, a warning, or a marker for someone. Investigators considered whether the shirt was placed there long after Daniel's death, possibly within the last year or two. Some online theorists even suggested someone went back. Someone wanted him found. But again, no suspects. No tip-offs. No confessions. The most painful question. Several possibilities exist. 1. She died miles away. Her remains may still be somewhere the desert has not revealed. 2. She was taken. If an encounter with a third party occurred, she might have been abducted. 3. She escaped, and either died later, or is living with amnesia or trauma somewhere far from home. 4. She was never with Daniel at the final site at all, meaning the couple was separated much earlier than believed. The truth is, there is zero trace of Liana Brooks after July 14, 2018. The New Mexico desert is a living beast. Heat erases footprints. Flash floods wipe out evidence. Wind buries small objects within hours. Animal scavengers scatter remains miles apart. Investigators admitted something they almost never say. This desert can swallow a human being and never return them. Daniel was one of the lucky ones, if you can call it luck. Something of him came back. But the desert kept Liana. Here is the clearest timeline investigators constructed. July 14, 2018, 3:14 p.m. Couple sends their last text. Everything normal. 7 p.m. Possible voices heard across the desert. July 15, 2018, morning. Phones stop pinging. SUV never tracked again. 2018 to 2022. No evidence emerges. June 2023. Daniel's remains discovered under boulder. 2024 to 2025. No new clues. Search for Liana stagnant. If someone staged his remains, they wanted him discovered. If the rockfall was natural, the shirt makes no sense. If Liana tried to mark his location, she would never have abandoned her gear. Every scenario has contradictions. This is why the case gained national attention again. Because the truth sits just close enough to be felt, and just far enough to remain unreachable. Daniel's family has closure, but not peace. They buried what little was recovered of him with a memorial service attended by hundreds. His sister said, "We didn't get the whole story. We didn't get justice. But at least we know he isn't out there alone anymore." Liana's family, their pain is different. Unfinished. Heavy. Exhausting. Her mother keeps her bedroom exactly as she left it. Her father still believes she's alive, somewhere. Every year they place flowers at the desert's entrance, whispering, "We're still looking, baby. We're still coming." 2 lead detectives have retired since the original search. Both still think about this case. They say, "If we find the SUV, we find the truth. Whatever happened, didn't happen where he was found. Someone else might know exactly what happened, and they've stayed silent." This case is considered one of the most perplexing desert disappearances in modern New Mexico history. There is one theory investigators rarely mention publicly. The couple may have been separated very early, and what happened to one did not happen to the other. This would explain the distance, the missing vehicle, the shirt, the absence of Liana. If they were forced apart, intentionally or not, their fates became separate stories. Daniel's story ended under a rock. Liana's story never began again. Based on what is known, experts believe the couple may have taken an unmarked side trail, followed a false ridge, entered unstable ground, encountered a third party or suffered a sudden crisis, become separated. The last hours of their lives may have included heat, confusion, panic, losing sight of each other, trying to regroup, dehydration, disorientation. But one thing is certain: Daniel died alone. His shirt removed, his body crushed, his fiancée nowhere near him. What he experienced in his final moments remains one of the biggest unanswered questions. Authorities believe only one thing can solve the case: finding Liana. Without her, the motive, the sequence, the truth remain locked in place. The desert gives clues in decades, not years. Maybe one day erosion will reveal something. Maybe a hiker will find a necklace or a strand of hair. Maybe the SUV will be uncovered by a flood. Until then, this case remains unsolved, incomplete, frozen in silence. 5 years after 2 young lovers disappeared into the New Mexico desert, only one was found, crushed beneath a boulder, with a torn T-shirt draped like a silent message. Where the woman went, how they separated, who moved the shirt, why the SUV vanished, what truly happened that night, remain mysteries the desert refuses to surrender. And until the day someone finds the last missing piece, the truth sleeps beneath the sun-scorched sand.